So let's go to Easter Island real quick. And here are some of the statues on Easter Island at Anakena, and they have the top knot on them. So when the statues were placed around the island, then the statue itself was a solid statue, but then it had this red extra little top knot hat on it. And here you can see on the back, this is from the back, so the top knots and stuff. Well, these are statues of Shiva. Okay? The famous Easter Island statues are statues of Shiva. Every one of them, except for one. Here's another bust. This is a stone bust, again, from the Cham Museum in Vietnam. So we're seeing Shiva again, third eye, the top knot. This is important. He's got the hair tied up, and he's got the really long, long earlobes. And that's what we see with the statues at Easter Island, too. So the statues at Easter Island are carved at this quarry called Rano Raraku. It's sort of in the middle of the island towards the northern side. So you get up to the quarry, and you start to also see statues that were quarried, but they were never moved out into the island. But so they were like stood up, and they started to move them. And you go to the quarry. It's certainly one of the main things to do, and you just see these statues that are like half buried too, and they're just kind of sitting there. They've been quarried. And what they tell you on Easter Island was that the statues were meant to be put around the edge of the island, and they faced inland. And they had eyes, they had inlaid eyes, and a power came out of their eyes called mana. And that power supposedly protected the island and kept it from sinking. And they have this whole story of how they were from a lost land called Hiva, but it's now underwater, and that they were kind of like marooned on Easter Island. Well, the land of Hiva is like the land of Shiva. So, they're basically saying, yeah, we're from the lost land of Shiva. That's what Easter Islands are telling you. So the idea, too, is that these statues were put around the island from the crater, and they somehow walked. That's what they say. And about every 10 years, I see in some archaeological magazine or something like that, we figured out how they walked the statues on Easter Island, because they supposedly walked. And what the story is, they walked it like a refrigerator, kind of back and forth, and that's all fine. But that's not a new theory. People gave that theory back in the 60s and 70s. But, every once in a while it comes up, we figured it out. And you're just like, well, yeah, like 40 years ago. Thor Heyerdahl, too. He came up with a book on Easter Island about 1990, and he said the same thing. Oh, yeah, you walk them like a refrigerator. And that's all fine. Although here's the part that doesn't fit, is that according to the Easter Island, there are ancient roads around Easter Island. Supposedly, the statues had to walk in a clockwise manner around the island. They couldn't just go, from the quarry to here. They had to walk completely around the island. Figure that. Here's the quarry, but for statues to go from the quarry to, say, up here, they had to go around the island, and they had to go around this volcano. And there are statues over here, and then they come around. This volcano here is a magnetic anomaly, and your compass won't work. It tells you on maps of Easter Island. And when Jacques Cousteau was there with the Calypso back in late 70s or something, he had an ultralight, Philippe Cousteau, and he was going to fly it around Easter Island. They told him, stay away from this volcano, and no one lives around there either, by the way. But he ignored him, and he flew his ultralight around that volcano, and he crashed. All his instruments went crazy, and he crashed, and he was almost killed. They had to medevac him to Santiago, where his life was saved. So it's all kind of mysterious, just what they're doing, why these statues are there. They're huge, too. These things are gigantically huge. They, they're like half buried, and the biggest ones are still there around the quarry. You see the huge lichen patches on them. That's indicative of great age. Here we go. Here's what some of the statues are like. You can see, like, there on the bottom right, how big these statues are. I mean, they're huge. And they're all just one piece, except for the top knot. That's a different piece of stone. The guys who are here on the top left who are kneeling, those ones are not statues of Shiva. They're of somebody else. But all these other statues are of Shiva. I maintain. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying in my Empire of Shiva book. So here's one of the statues, one of the really big ones. You see how he's like, so a lot of these statues that are sitting there, kind of leaning, and they're up. Yeah, you're only seeing half the statue. The other, there 40 feet of it is buried. Now, how's that? Did they purposely bury these statues? No. They were somehow buried, in a volcanic eruption or just over years. I mean, so that's a mystery too. And these statues were meant to be moved around the island, but never were. So here's another photo too of these. This is like Thor Heyerdahl and his group, how they're excavating these statues. They're huge. There are no feet there, but they do have arms and stuff like that. Here's another kind of statue. You can see how they have to unearth them. Today, when you go to Easter Island, you're not going to see any of this stuff because they won't do any. It's a World Heritage Site. They're not really digging up any of the statues. You can't even go up and touch them now. They'll come and get you. So I was saying how the Easter Island statues, that when they were moved out of the quarry and they were put around the island, they were faced inland and they had inlaid eyes, like you're seeing here. And this power, this power came out of their eyes and protected the island. That's what the Easter Islanders believed. So near to the airport in Easter Island is this place here called Vinapu. And it's granite blocks, perfectly cut and fitted. Again, we're talking power tools and stuff. This is right at the end of the airport. The airstrip on Easter Island is one of the biggest in the world. The space shuttle can land there. They actually NASA went down there and made this huge runway so that the space shuttle would have a place to land in the South Pacific if it needed it. So Vinapu here this is perfectly fitted together. It's got big lichen patches. It's not a very big site, but it's facing Peru, these walls. And I mean, this is the kind of walls you see in Peru, and I mean, it's like identical, and it's perfectly fitted, these blocks. And here you can even see how they've made this little stone there as a kind of a notching block right there to kind of hold them together and stuff. I mean, this is again like people showing off, stone workers who have power tools and can do all kinds of, kind of showy things, which you see even more in Peru, like here. Now, all right, now we'll go to Cusco. We'll go to Peru. And these are the kind of jigsaw, this is granite that are fitted together. I mean, this is, you would need like a computer CAD program to do this. This is also power tools, cutting these blocks, fitting them so perfectly together. The Incas did not do this. The Incas inherited these cities. I mean, it's kind of strange. They actually like to say that Machu Picchu was built just, 40 years before the Spanish got there. It does make sense. This is the most famous stone in Cusco. This is what they call the stone of 12 angles. It's on the label of the Cusco beer in Cusco. Yay. And in fact, Cusco, the only factory in Cusco is the beer brewery. That's the only factory. And that beer brewery was built during World War II by the Germans. So just a little trivia for you there. So anyway, this kind of perfect fitting together. And we see this in other places too, at the Necromanticon in Greece and stuff like that. The little knobs, it's just, and this one, because of all our angles and articulation, I mean, and this is like, again, it's stonemasons showing off. Look what I can do. This is how, this is how good I am. And in Cusco, these walls are all over the place. This is Sacsayhuamán, more of the same. Giant blocks of stone. This is more of a limestone rather than granite. Sacsayhuamán is, like this massive fortress. There used to be towers and stuff there. The towers were torn down by the Spanish. The Spanish and the Incas fought a battle here. They fought a 2-day battle at Sacsayhuamán, and the Spanish ultimately won that battle. And that was basically the ultimate defeat of the Incas at that time. But when you go to Sacsayhuamán today, I mean, it's astonishing. And these giant blocks. And mainstream archaeologists are saying, oh yeah, the Incas just, somehow built all this. I mean, they can't explain how. But I mean, even today, no Peruvian construction company could do this. They can't do it. It's too perfect. And so back to Ollantaytambo, which is in the Sacred Valley. It's on the way to Machu Picchu. And what you have at Machu Picchu, or at Ollantaytambo, is over here. This is a cliff face, but then these giant blocks are up here, and that we kind of saw. And they haven't been able to explain how they got these blocks up here and all that. So what you have to do, though, today you'll walk up these stairs on the right, and then you'll get up there, and then you'll finally get to these walls where you turn. And so once again, and this is granite, perfectly fitted together, has these strange knobs and things like that. These are again, this is power tools. It has to do this and make these things. Again, the perfect fitting together. Large lichen patches, that again shows great age. They're quite old. And again, these like knobs and stuff that come out, they've never really explained, exactly how that works. Here's Machu Picchu, probably, the most popular tourist site in South America. And in my mind, it's built by the Cham. It's a megalithic city. It's a secret city. It's got also perfectly fitted together stones and stuff like that. It's kind of pulling apart. It's a beautiful city on top of a mountain. It's really spectacular. There's a city in northern Cambodia almost exactly like Machu Picchu called Pria Vihear. And that's where the fighting is between Cambodia and Thailand, because it's on a mountain right there on the border. And it really is in Cambodia, but Thailand has claimed some of that area. So when you go there, I was there like 8-10 years ago, and yes, the Cambodian military is all over the place. You have to go through military checkpoints and stuff like that. So look, we're talking about, this megalithic building and also keystone cuts. They are in Egypt. And this is the Osireion at Abydos, Egypt. The Osireion, at Abydos, you have a huge Egyptian temple. And then out the back is a swamp. And in that swamp are these giant blocks. You see also the same knobs a little bit like we saw at Ollantaytambo, huge blocks of granite. There's no hieroglyphs or any Egyptian kind of writing here at all. A lot of it was underwater, and for a long time it's a swamp. The Egyptian government had to, they were pumping it out for years, trying to drain it so they could see what was there. And so, so you see how the blocks, also how they're fitted together, also the notching. It's quite similar to what you see at Ollantaytambo and other Peru and in Bolivia and in Vietnam and stuff like that. It's interesting here too that the flower of life, if you're familiar with all that, it's on this. This is the flower of life, and it's actually on the two of the stones that are there, and it's been there for thousands of years. It's like they were cut by lasers or something into these stones, the flower of life.